John is with us in Jacksonville, Florida. Hi, John. Welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Thanks, Dave and Christina. I really appreciate you taking my call. The question is probably not typical, but I'm part of a church board that's pretty conservative and has managed to get themselves out of debt and carry no debt. Unfortunately, we're in the middle of a voting period of deciding whether or not to do a church remodel, and the majority of the board is comfortable with obtaining a $1 million loan to conduct this church remodel. And obviously I'm not. I've shared my opinions. I've shared Proverbs 22:7 with them and lots of other things I've learned from you. But I was just wondering if you had any guidance on maybe trying to come up with a resolution.
Well, there's a lot of factors at play here. I've been in these situations myself a couple times. Number one, you don't and I don't believe that debt is a sin according to the Bible. I hope you don't. I don't.
No,
And
I don't.
but I also can't find a single time in Scripture God used debt to do His work. Larry Burkett used to say that there's no time in Scripture that the Amalekites had the Israelites hemmed down in getting ready to kill them off in the canyon, and so they did a bond issue. It's just not in there. They ran down to the bank and got a loan. It's not in there. There's no time. There's no positive reference to debt in Scripture, and so biblically speaking, debt is stupid, but it's not a sin. It's just dumb.
Right.
Okay. Now, you got a group of people disagree with that on your board, obviously. You've got to reconcile several different things. So you've covered that issue with them already. And again, I'll quote Larry Burkett because he's who taught me a lot of these things, especially from a Christian viewpoint or biblical viewpoint. He used to say that too often the church board looks more like the Chamber of Commerce than anything else, because it's people in the church, usually men, who are successful business people in the community. And so the pastor and the congregation looks to the successful business people to run the business and the governance of the church. And so it's not unusual for your church board to be a banker, a car dealer, an insurance agent,
You're exactly right.
or whatever on there. And the problem with that is they bring their best ideas and think that they are the truth rather than, you got a banker on there that, rather than what does Scripture say? And so where I think, and apparently you think, that Scripture ought to be the baseline, the plumb line by which we make these decisions. And so then that brings up a couple things, all right? Then that brings us down to they're going to do it anyway, right?
Right. Well, we're going to vote on it and decide.
Yeah.
We haven't voted yet.
If you can persuade enough of them to use the biblical plumb line rather than their professional training to make this analysis, which is what should be done, then you can probably talk them out of it. But a lot of times you can't. And I've been in those situations where the guys I'm arguing with are friends of mine, but they're just wrong.
Right. Exactly.
And so then you've got to decide a couple things. Number one, I would never tell someone in a congregation to leave a church just because the church took on debt. I'm vehemently against it, but again, I don't think it's a sin. I just think it's stupid. And if you leave a church every time you disagree with something the church does, you're going to be in a different church every week. Because there's always some part of church is you get to disagree. That's just you just count on being upset about something. And if not, somebody will make up something to be upset about. And so the times you should leave a church is when you have lost hope in the integrity or the wisdom of the leadership. And the only time I have left the church is over that, where I've lost hope in the integrity of the leadership, or I've lost hope in the path that they're on. I just cannot align with that. But it's never over a single thing. It could be over a doctrinal issue or something else, but it's never over a single event. Like, okay, I left because they did this remodel. I would not tell you to do that. Right. I would, though. It would be hard for me to sit in leadership on this board if they're going to go against something that is a core tenet of my life, because I'm going to then be endorsing, in a sense, my presence. If I stay on this board, I'm going to be endorsing what I believe to be something that is very, very wrong direction. Again, it's not an integrity issue. It's not a salvation issue and that kind of thing. And I'm not telling you to resign. I'm just sharing with you where my heart is. In other words, if you were a congregate, I would just say vote against it, make your best case, and then suck it up. And if there's no other reason, no other problems with this church, it's still your church. But the fact I'm sitting on this board says that this has my name on this stupidity. And I would struggle with that. But to be very clear, though, I am not telling you to do that, John. And it's one of the reasons I don't sit on boards. I'm on 0 boards, nonprofit or otherwise. I don't sit on boards because I'm a horrible board member, because I'm right and you're wrong. I really don't have any other gear, okay? And so that's a weakness of mine and a strength of mine, and I don't want to impugn that upon you. You're probably a more reasonable person.
John, you said the church is debt-free currently, right?
Correct. Yeah. I wanted to. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
How did they get debt-free? Is it just an older church that's never had debt, or was there any type of initiative to become debt-free?
No, they've paid off their debt, and we've been debt-free probably for a few years, and we do have some reserves. And my proposal is not to have absolutes, like Dave said. It's not, yes, we do the project, and no, we don't. How about we do the project in stages? There is a GC that proposed to the church and came up with these excuses why you don't want to do that. And I'd like to hear if Dave has an opinion, since he just finished that major project. But that was kind of my approach. And after listening to the GC, I not only wanted to take a shower, like Dave says, I wanted to wash myself with bleach too. So.
Yeah. Which is another problem. That guy doesn't need to be. That guy doesn't need to. You don't trust the guy's integrity. You don't think he's got the best interest of the client. You think he's got the best interest of his own pocket.
Right. Exactly.
You're hiring the wrong guy, even if you do the rehab. That's a separate issue. One more problem. Right. But yeah, it can definitely be done in stages. Any construction project can be done in stages. Is it less convenient? Yes, it's less convenient. Is it but if I was the leadership team, I would just go before the church and go, hey guys, this remodel is something that'll help the cause of the kingdom. We'll be able to have more people in here. We'll be able to lead more people to Christ. We'll be able to disciple them better. It's a good move spiritually for us to do this. You guys need to start writing some checks so we can do it.
Right. And I think it helps to have those people that were involved in the last initiative to pay off debt tell their stories. I was recently on my church board before we moved, and we went through a whole initiative where our church paid off debt. And then, of course, board members change out after a few years. And it was nice to have some of the older board members who had been through so much of the financials of our church and they've got the battle wounds of what it was like to, have the stress of being on a board that's not debt-free and some of the challenges that comes with that.
What's the total budget on this church, John?
Right now, they're sitting $400 plus.
$400,000?
No, not that. They're in the green. 400,000.
No, I mean, what's the top line? What's the top line?
You mean of
your total annual income at this church?
Oh, I don't have those exact numbers.
And you're on the board?
Yeah, I don't have them in front of me.
Is it $7 million? Is it $1 million? What is it?
No. Yeah, it probably would be $1 million, somewhere in that range.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me give you another statistic. Working with 50,000 churches, you're taking on so much debt. There's an 82% chance your pastor is going to be gone in 36 months because you're getting ready to strain this congregation. The pastor fallout with new debt within 36 months is, when it's a huge amount of debt in ratio to their revenues, it's massive. Because you're getting ready to strain the whole system. Don't do this. Please don't let them do this. Please, you're going to mess up a whole good thing. Oh my gosh. I don't think you can stop them though. It's a runaway train. This is the Ramsey Show.